Hey everybody, my name is Tim Rickman, and in this video I'm very pleased to present to you, with the permission of Jeremy Shafer, this model that you see here, which he has designed, Hangman. This is a really cool box pleated model with a lot of interesting color change, and you want to use a duo colored paper. So the paper I have here is blue and white. And you can see here I've drawn out some of the pre-creases. There are a lot more creases in this model, but they happen as you shape the model. And these are the ones that you want to add to the 32 by 32 grid before you start. At least the way that I've chosen to collapse this model down. As with other box pleated models, there are usually more than one way to collapse the model. So what you want to do is start with your dual colored paper, the white side of the paper up. So whatever color you want the middle of the picture, the model here to be, that side of the paper up. And then whatever color you want the rest of the model to be, the frame and the man, to be face down. And you're just going to start a simple bisection going into a 32 by 32 grid. Alright, so what we should have now is a 32 by 32 grid that's fan folded, with all of the outermost edges here are mountain folds, and then in a sequence valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, blah blah blah, all the way through. If it's not exactly mountain valley alternating like that, that's okay, as long as all of them are where they need to be and pretty precise as well. As you're folding that grid, you just want to make sure you're focusing on making all of the pleats as even as possible. That really helps to make the model look really nice. So let's go ahead and take another look at the crease pattern, because we're going to start to add in the pre-creases. We're going to start in this, we'll just call it the upper corner right here. This diagonal crease runs through 8 boxes. So from this corner up here down to this, it goes through 8 boxes diagonally. So through the corners of each of those boxes. Just go ahead and what you could do is match up the edges. Like that. But what I like to do is just take a look at it. Just take the paper up in my hands like this and fold over through those boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because you can really see where the two creases come at it from either side, either below it or beside it, and that really helps line it up. Just in case your pleats are just a little bit off, meaning the distance between this one and this one is a little bit different than this one. If you hold it up and aim through it like that, as opposed to laying it down on the table and just using these edges to fold it, it may be a little easier to collapse later. So next we're going to come down into this bottom corner here, and again this is just another diagonal crease that runs through 8 boxes here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the crease that they land on, the vertical crease here, should connect the two ends of those two diagonals. Now, where this crease ends here, where this one crease ends, you're going to count across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this distance is 11 to this point over here where you're going to start this crease. And this line here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So count over 11 from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And let's just put a little mark right there just so we know where we're at. All right. And now we'll make our crease from there. That goes up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now you should be 5 from the edge. So where that crease ends, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more pleats that run to the edge there. And if we take another look at the crease pattern, we can either count 11 over from this one, or we can just start where we ended on this line and go back up 8. But again, this distance here will be 11 as well. So let's just use where we ended this crease here and go back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Make the creases defined, but you don't have to sharpen them too much. You just want to give enough of a crease to the paper that it will be able to reverse on itself if we want to turn those mountain folds into valley folds. So all the pre-creases that we just added will define this area here, everything from here over, the post and the white space that's in between everything. That's all of what we did here. Okay. Next, we're going to focus on these details along this edge here, which are going to give us what we need to create the person. the unfortunate soul who is being being hanged. Let's see here. Down here at the bottom, so these are our two original corners along the edge here. On this bottom right corner, we're going to travel up a distance of 4. So in this very bottom corner, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now, come back 1, 2, 3, 4 to the edge. One, 2, 3, 4. We have like a V shape now. These creases are creating the legs. We have one leg here and one leg here. This area right here is the paper that's needed to create one leg, and this corner, bottom corner here, is the paper that's needed to create the other leg. If you follow some of my videos about design with box pleating, you'll understand that this center point is the center of essentially a circle that gets pushed out into the area of a square in box pleating. And as long as that center point is somewhere on the paper, even all the way to the edge or in the corner, it will create a length of flap that we need for a certain element. And now we have an area around those two that's called a river. This is going to create his torso, or her torso. It could be a criminal lady that's getting hanged. Okay. So instead of coming back up just 4 here, this total length is going to be 4 plus our river, which has a length of 2 diagonally, for a total of 6. So from this point up to here is 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Running back up this way. All right. Now, from that point that we just ended on, here, right here, we need to come across a horizontal crease, 1, 2, to start this next one. So it doesn't come directly from the end of this crease that we just created. It's going to be shifted 1, 2 over. Okay, and from that point we're going to go up 1, 2, 3. Not all the way to the edge. We're still going to have one pleat in between where this ends and the edge of the paper. So move 2 over from where we ended last, and 3 diagonally up and to the right. Leave this here so you can see. So this is where we ended. We're going to move over 1, 2. One, 2, 3, and now we'll be 1 away from the edge. So there'll be one pleat in between where that crease ends and the edge of the paper. And we're just going to come back up 3. So from this point to this point, that's another 3. One, 2, 3. And in box pleating, this is something that I've been calling a wrapped point, meaning that this point, it's going to have pleats that wrap around it. It won't come to a nice point like that. It'll be flat along the top because the pleats will wrap around the end of it. And above that, we have the same shape. It's another wrapped point that is 3 units long. So from this point here, we're going to come back up and to the right, 3. And again, that will land us 1 away from the edge. So 1, 2, 3, and 3 more from here to there. One, 2, 3. So those 2 areas create the paper that's needed to create the arms. Now we just have a couple more pre-creases before we can start to collapse the model. These creases up here create the head. And it may be easiest to start with this one little one diagonal that just goes through one box at the very edge of the paper. So you're just going to find where this crease hits the edge and where this crease hits the edge, and just fold in between those two diagonally to round off with an angle that bit of paper. Okay? Just fold over the corner of that square. And now you're going to move from where that crease hits the edge of the paper, you're just going to move across 1 and make a diagonal that travels down and to the left 2. So move over 1 and then make a crease that goes through 1, 2. Like that. Okay. And then likewise, down here, you're going to move from where this crease hits the edge of the paper down 1, and then this crease is going to travel down and to the left 2. So 1 down, 1, 2. That's what all this looks like. And now you should be able to connect the end of these 2 points with a crease that's 2 units long. 1, 2. All right, these are all the pre-creases that we need. There are a lot more creases in the model, but they're generated as sort of secondary shaping after we get some of these elements collapsed down and the paper shifts in layers. You'll kind of see what I'm talking about in a moment here. So next we'll begin to collapse this down. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, there's probably multiple ways that you could go about collapsing this model down. I think the easiest way is to use the lines in our creases to feed into all of these more complicated structures on the edge of the paper first, and then go back and collapse the left side of the paper. So what I propose we do, clear off a little space for ourselves here. Is start to accordion the paper back down somewhat. So we have all these nice lines running into the edge of this edge of the paper. As we do that, we want to start to collapse some of these structures down. So as you can see now, we've taken that first line segment that was 2 units long and started to collapse that. Okay. And now fold this edge down, this first pleat along the edge, all the way down to here, to this second leg. Okay. Push that together, and now you can push together the head. Fold this down, and if you look at it from the other side of the paper, you can see that it's sort of a rounded shape. Let me collapse this down a little bit more so we can examine what I'm talking about here. We've got like a sort of a teardrop shape. And just as we did on this corner of the paper, how we have the corner of that folded over, we're going to fold the corner of this bottom square over as well. Okay? And now we have a circle, pretty much. Well, it's an octagon, sort of. And, well, it is an octagon. It's just not a perfect octagon. Now continue to fan fold down the edges again, and find this crease here. Like I said, there is, sorry, this looks a little confusing right now. Let's get a few more horizontal creases running into the side of the paper here, and run them into the arm. And this is what I meant by a wrapped point. So this is, it's coming to a point, but you can see that the paper wraps around it. And the point ends up being right there. And it makes a flap. Okay. And the arm is three units long in our box grid. So 1, 2, and 3. Now, there's some more lines that happen right here that allow us to collapse essentially the neck down. Okay? And it's just going to be a V shape. So we'll have one line here, and it'll double back into this corner here. So push this down. It'll naturally want to go that way. All right? Just like that. Okay? All right. Now let's get some more horizontal creases running into the side of the paper and make the second arm. Okay, use our pre-creases to collapse that down. It may want to bunch up on you. Just make sure that crease is coming all the way to that crease that's one away from the edge. Get a few more creases coming from the side over. Make sure that point, the edge of the paper is wrapping around that point. And now you can collapse down the second arm. You have 2 here. Continue. Fan fold from the left side of the paper over. This just makes it easier to fold through the rest of our pre-creases in the model to get some of these diagonals set up. Now you can see we're going down into this sort of weird area where this crease that creates the leg and the river for the torso don't sync up with this arm. So we're going to start from the bottom and move up to that point now, because that's going to get a little tricky. And it's more of a shaping that happens at the end of the collapse. So we'll start from the bottom now and move back up to that point. Remember that the legs are 4 units long. Let's just get a bunch of pleats here, moving over into that area so we can finish this right. Okay, and have these creases use a shaping tool or your finger to poke those diagonal creases so they alternate mountain, valley, mountain, valley. Okay, and these are regular points. You can see here they're wrapped over, but here they actually come to a point. And that's the difference that I'm pointing out there. Here, and stop right about there. You're going to get to a point where the paper is going to get really uncomfortable. Don't push those together. Just leave it just like this. All right, now that all those are trained to go that way, expand that out a little bit like this and move over to the other side of the paper. And start to fold down this left edge. Remember that what we have here along the left edge are 2 diagonals that are 8 units long, and then a long area in between them, which is going to expand the paper open to give you that expanse in between all the color change elements. So don't go any further than 8, but do collapse down that far. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we've got those collapsed down. Now we kind of need to get at this shape here. So all of this is going to be opened up in the middle, but this needs to be brought together. And the way we do that is to use these diagonals here. Before we go on, there is one more little shaping element I need to explain. So here, where this line ends, follow that vertical crease all the way down to the bottom of the paper. And right here, you're going to need to make a little V shape that just goes through one box on either side. So I'm going to find that element here. I'm going to trace that line all the way down to here. And just make a little V right there and right there. Okay? Now, that's what you should have. Yeah. Okay. So this V in the middle here, it diverts these creases running into the middle around it. So you're kind of going to find where those creases come to the edge there. Make sure you're not creating any new creases, but that you are using your pre-creases to sort of bunch what you have up. Let me bring this together. As you get closer to the middle, it'll start to go easily for you. The problem is the paper behind it wants to spring open, and at the same time you're trying to collapse down the paper in front of it, which is a useful property of paper if you're creating some sort of origami that needs to utilize that tension in the paper. All right, so you can see now we have all this collapsed down, and for now we'll just leave that like so. Okay, so here we have the head, and then lift up arm, the other arm, which is on sort of a river there, and then there's another river for the torso and then the legs. Okay, now we kind of get into the fun part of it. Let's take a look at this again, and you can see he's on the wrong side of the paper. Well, we turn it over, he's on the right side of the paper again. And you can see this bottom edge here, the bottom of the post is the color of the paper that we want it to be, and that this post, it doesn't come to a point, it has a flattened edge. So you're going to push this point in and fold along a diagonal to hide that in there so that it's straight, like a cut piece of wood. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if we just create a diagonal here by pushing all of the layers together, push this feature out to the side. Now we have a base and a board above that. I'm going to follow all this to the top, and we're actually going to push here, creating another little diagonal crease right here that runs back into the right. Push that all the way over, and it's going to make a little shelf in here. Okay, make a crease on the outside through all the layers so that you can press both of those down. like so. And we're going to worry about this shaping later. It just gets folded back and tucked underneath these layers here, but we'll do that later. Right now, come to this point over here, and you can see how the top post overhangs the, I guess, the rope a little. And the way that works is you bring all of this together, then you fold this down towards you and make a crease underneath. Right here, diagonally, so that that folds over flat. It hangs over the edge just a little bit, and then the rope comes down from a little further back there. There's a lot of layers here, so take a moment to make everything look neat. We'll flatten all this out later and adjust some of the layers as needed. So let's come down to this bottom corner now. Should be right here on the model. And you're going to open this up just a little bit. So find 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll have 4 edges, 1 raw edge and 3 folded edges. Kind of lift those back, and then come over here and lift these layers back so that you get a corner here. It'll come down here and then veer off there, and it'll look like the inside of a box, you know. Now push this down and this down and create a diagonal right here through these layers so that you can press this down. All right. And that looks pretty great. We still need to shape the man, but if you notice, there's a little bit of white space right there, because obviously you've got the rope, you have the frame and the ground, the base, but there's nothing underneath the guy. Otherwise, he wouldn't be hanging. So this is part of the model that I think is really cool. It's a color change technique where you're able to change the color along a folded edge like this. You're going to take this very top layer here, this raw edge, and just start to work it back. And you'll see that the diagonals that we made earlier down here in this area of the model down here will allow us to kind of fold back. And if we reverse the crease just on that top layer here, we're able to fold back a flap. I want to make sure you get a good picture of this right here. And what we're able to do with this is to tuck this behind. This is a really useful color change technique. So essentially make a pocket behind it and push this paper into that pocket so that the layers hold it there in place. And you use a shaping tool to push it down into the corner, and then here as well. Push that down into the corner, and then you should be able to lay that flat. And now there's nothing underneath the flaps that create the little guy on the side there. He's got nothing holding him up anymore. So look out, it's about to be a bad day, paper guy. I don't know what you did. Maybe you gave people a bunch of paper cuts. But it's not going to be a good day for you. All right, the only thing left to do, which is the fun part, is to shape the little man in the middle. You want the center of his head. You've got 3 boxes that kind of create up the middle, and you want that to run in sync with the rope, so it's right above his head. So you're going to take and rotate this around and kind of take some of the layers in the neck and push that over along a diagonal, okay, which will allow you to rotate this over. Whew. Rotate this over like so, and you should be able to line that up directly with the rope above it. You see kind of what's happening underneath here. There's this little bit here that gets pushed over, and then obviously you want to make sure that that diagonal is tucked back up underneath to keep the head round. He's sort of like a guy you see on a restroom sign or a crosswalk sign. You know, he's got the pieces, parts he needs. Which, if anybody's played Hangman before, it's a really fun game you play when your phone battery dies and you don't have Candy Crush and you have a pen and a paper and a friend. You come up with a word and you just indicate how many words are in that letter by drawing a dash. So if the word was fox, you would write 3 dashes. And then your friend has to guess what the word is. And every time you get a word wrong, you draw another feature of the man being hanged. And if you run out of guesses when there's enough features of the person to constitute someone being there. If you haven't played it before, look it up. It's a fun game to play with your friends. So we're just going to shift the paper over here on the legs. So take this very bottom flap and just push it out to the side like that, however you like. And then take this other one that's right above it and push this out to the other side. I used to play that game with my brother when I was little. And when I grew up, the internet was called the library. And I used to find a lot of really cool origami books there when I was a kid. So it's all good fun. Good fun. Okay, so we have that, and now we need to shift the. Oh my goodness, something's wrong here. Something's wrong here. I think. Oh my goodness. Okay, so one last little thing. Take the legs, pull, and a line will develop right here. Okay? Pull that line, and then create 2 new creases right here and right here. And that's what creates the torso. I'm sorry about that. I goofed up. I missed that. Okay, now he's as long as he should be there. I got to talking about nostalgic things, and I left out an important detail. But fortunately, it's not something you can't fix right away, right there. Okay, and then the very last step. Let me make sure I get this right here. Is it the left arm or the right arm? Okay. So the last step is to take the top arm. Okay, take the bottom arm, pinch it like this, and swivel it out to the side. You're going to create a diagonal crease right here. Swivel that out to the side. And then this top arm, you're going to create a diagonal crease here. And push that out to the other side so that his arms are out to either side. Like so. And be careful with this one because the paper can rip right here in between the 2 arms. And there, I say, we've just about done it. You want to take a little more time with your shaping. Maybe even get, depending on what kind of paper it is. Oh, we forgot this part up here. So, obviously, this is the cross brace that keeps the top bar from falling over with the weight. So you have it out to the side here, and then 1, 2, 3 full squares. That fourth square kind of going into the fifth one. 1, 2, 3, fourth one, kind of going into the fifth one. Fold back along that fourth one. And the aim is so that this diagonal crease, the folded edge there, will touch pretty much far back into that along that edge there. So just kind of wiggle all that down. Use the shaping tool to push the paper back into there. Get that pressed down. And then tuck that underneath. There you go. This is Hangman by Jeremy Shafer. I think it's a really cool model. There's some awesome color change elements in here. I know when I first saw the video, you might want to use some MC or something just to flatten everything down, let it dry. When I first saw this model a couple days ago, and I saw that it was not a tutorial, quotation mark, I felt challenged to accomplish creating the model. So I took a look at the video. If you see down here in the corner, there's a little gear icon. If you click on that, YouTube allows you to slow the video down to, I think, up to like a half or a quarter of its normal speed, so that it's easier to pause the video on specific frames and kind of analyze what's going on in there. So that's what I did. I looked at his video, slowed it down, looked at the crease pattern, and just tried it out. Tried my hand at collapsing the model down to see what result that I would get. I worked on it over a couple of days here and there in odd times that I had to work on it. And I was really proud when I was finally able to collapse the model down. Took a couple extra minutes to make sure that I had done everything correctly, compared it to the pictures on his website and whatnot. So, if perchance I have altered any of the creases in his original model, I do apologize. I'm pretty sure that I've got it down, though. I've taken a close look at the creases in his model, so I'm sure that I'm at least giving you a good product, a good approximation of what he's done. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching. I know a lot of people were excited to fold this model, so hopefully this gives you a little bit better of an idea of how Jeremy Shafer put this together, and you're able to collapse it on your own. Other than what we've done here, I just recommend using some kind of maybe a larger, thinner paper, or maybe wet fold it and place a book on top of it until it dries, so that it lays flat. I'm not sure exactly what he did with his, but his turned out really nice. Maybe tissue foil would probably be the best idea. Some tissue foil this model would turn out great with that. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Jeremy Shafer, for giving me the opportunity to demonstrate and give a tutorial for your model. Very much appreciated, and hope to see you all in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.